I live with my dad. My mom left. Yeah, I think my mom was the closer option to naturally go to her and maybe talk to her, but since my dad like took this role of kind of very also motherly, the kind of sex or gender in that thing didn't really I didn't see my dad as so clearly as my dad as a male person or my mom as female. Because I am female, I have to go to her. Or we never really had this very standardized kind of, oh, I'm gonna teach you something now about something that you should know, but it's awkward. I think that was more my stepmom than she had the kind of the awkward conversation part. Even as a kid, I was always very into exploring or thinking a lot about it, how something affects me in a different way, not in this, yeah, classical is not a good word, but yeah, I always found that very interesting to search for what other possibilities are there, even though I wasn't told or kind of aware that that's even a possibility. And I always try to, yeah, because you kind of have to say, yeah, you feel pressure to find a label for yourself. And I tried, and then I first said, okay, I think first was like, okay, I'm bisexual. And I was like, no, I'm not bisexual. Okay, I'm lesbian. No, I'm neither of those. And are you into everyone? And was like, yeah, I think so, but I don't know. And I was like, I really don't, I can't label it. I went through tons of labels that I was never sure. They were always like half fitting, but at the end, it's not what this is. Yeah, labels are not enough, and first it's liberating, and then it's like getting very narrow again. Yeah, and then for me, it was like I had to free myself from giving myself like a new label, because that got so exhausting to search for something when I know how I feel. I just can't really express it in the way that terms, and I had to kind of accept that maybe I will never be able to express it with words ever, kind of. But that was such a problem for such a long time. Also, like when you're a teenager and everybody wants to know, there were a few people that was like, okay, I was immediately sexually attracted to them, and like right away. But with others it came like after a year or so, because I don't know, I really don't know what it's about, and it's as much as about the other person as it is about myself. I have so many close friends, like really close friends, and we do everything together, and that's what I really need. I need friendships, but I don't need a relationship. Because maybe there's a part of asexuality that I don't have a relationship romantically or sexually. I'm very shy. I'm very anxious. I don't have a lot of trust in people that I don't know. And I mean, since I'm 14, I had like big problems with anxiety attacks and panic and depression, so I really had bad social phobia. So that really played a big part in how much did I already try out or not. I always had big problems with being accepted. People always found me extremely strange. They didn't know who I was. They felt that I was weird. And I think that plays a big part, because if somebody thinks I'm strange and weird, then I'm for sure not gonna have like sex with them. And when I was younger, and I was like maybe 16, and I was like, okay, I kind of would love to try it. But then my head got really crazy. Like I thought through a whole process of like, oh my god, then we would have had sex, and then it would be my first time, and it's like, it would be a bit awkward, that's okay. But they would go tell someone, or they would react weird to me or find me very disgusting, that they would find whoever I am disgusting, and they wouldn't realize it until that very moment, and then they would like freak out and or just tell everyone at school. Or I think I always imagined the worst possible thing that could happen, even though I mean I knew that was probably not gonna happen, but the possibility still was there. Like, I don't know. The worst time was exactly when I started to hit puberty, right? And it's like, oh, I'm a teenager and now I should fuck anyways. I mean, like, because everybody fucks, what's probably not true, but okay, you have to do this. First of all, the pressure. Then it was like, okay, I find most people very boring. I mean, classmates or whatever. I'm really not a people person, you know? Just, and then so I try to put it kind of in this arrogant way of like, I don't want to anyways. And part of it is also true, but I try to kind of build a protection to not, and say it like that, like I'm not attracted to them anyways, which is true, but it's not something to be proud of or not, it's just a fact. But I really had to distance myself from my own sexuality, because at one point I felt ashamed every day for not having had sex yet. I was so ashamed and embarrassed, and that made it even worse, of course. The more anxiety I got, the less I wanted to have sex ever, and I was like, fuck. But then that changed. That just went away at some point. And then after a year, I wasn't ashamed constantly that I didn't have sex yet, because also when you talk to people about it and others say, I didn't have sex either yet. I don't really care either, or I had a lot of sex, but it was mostly horrible, so don't worry, take your time, or whatever. At the beginning, it's really just you and your mind and what you think other people already did, and that weird myth of like, the earlier the better, you know, kind of, and I really try to, it sounds so bad, but I try to kind of force myself to masturbation, because I thought, okay, at this point I can't live with that fucking self-hate. And then when you're younger, at some point it was like, oh my god, this is not normal, you shouldn't be like that. And like, for example, now I really enjoy it. I really like it. I don't have a problem with it anymore. And I think the better I know myself, the better it is for a sexual relationship I might have in the future. Yeah. I mean, this is all kind of very personal, but I don't know if I mind or not, because,
Did you have several sex so far, or a lot of sex so far? Did you have any sex so far? Not at all?
No, not at all. I always think, like, I don't mind if people are open about, like, not having sex, but for me, I have this very bad, like, thoughts of how I should be. So I was also always very ashamed of saying, hey, I never had sex, you know. Yeah, that made it even worse, that I couldn't have it, but not having it is so bad too. So I was like really caught up in these two options of like, it felt like the main point of everything was to make myself feel miserable about any decision I would eventually make in the future. So, yeah.
So in this case, the idea of penetration wouldn't be interesting?
No, not at all. But I knew that quite early. And I think, I mean, if it would happen, if somebody's, then why not? But it's really, if I fantasize about something or think about it, it doesn't come to mind. It doesn't interest me. It doesn't give me, I mean, maybe, if I would actually do it then, and it's a whole other situation, maybe. But what I know so far about myself, no. I never fit in. It was a fact. I mean, it wasn't like bad of like, oh my god, they all bullied me all the time. It was okay-ish, or just a normal experience maybe, but I really never fit in. And sure, part of it was always how I perceived myself. I was always kind of dressing up a little different, and my mom supported that. So I was always exploring stuff. I was okay. I like that. I'm allowed to do that, so I'm gonna go to school with that because I want that. And so it started very early that I knew, okay, how I would do it. And they don't like me like that. So I try to just own that a little more and emphasize it. And if when it doesn't matter for my so-called social status, then just try it. I don't have one, so I just do what I like to do. And still I limit myself. If I wouldn't have any anxieties about how shitty my body could look or how whatever, I think I would go further. In relation to relationships, I'm completely happy. Why should I push myself to find something that I have to find when I don't need it at the moment? Why do I always think something's missing? I'm perfectly happy, and really I can say that now, because sure, sometimes it's like it creeps back into my head and it's like, oh yeah, but it would be nice. And it's like, yeah, sure, it would be nice, maybe. But I'm not incomplete now just because I don't have that, And it's just something that I do want to explore it. I do want to know how it feels, but it's not something I want to base my life on.